This is First Contact, Stories of the Call Center. Even the people that have joined our webinars and our podcast that are software as a service leaders, right? And we see the SaaS world kind of really getting huge really quickly. And obviously you coming in as a SaaS product line and to be able to come up rather quickly, right? Versus, a lot of other companies that didn't come in that same way. How have you seen the SaaS space look and evolving in the contact center space?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the golden age of the contact center. I really mean that. And I think that there's two big reasons behind it. The first is you had all of this retail traffic, this in-person traffic where people were going and visiting stores. And, certainly during the pandemic, totally stopped. And, the traffic got totally cut. So then where did people go? They went to your website and your digital tools and your social media, and they went to the contact center. And that's why contact center volumes increased over 20% last year in 2020. And I think will still stay high because a lot of the buying behaviors and the habits shifted where people realized, man, this is easy. I can just hit up the social media, or I can hit up the contact center, or it's easier than I thought. So that's kind of the first trend behind it. It's going to start this golden era, and the second is the cloud. The cloud is not just here. The cloud's here for everybody. It is here. There's no escaping it at this point. And what does that do? It allows you to have a hybrid workforce where some contact center agents are in office and some may be at home. It allows you to have the ability, like Balto, to scale out new scripting, not scripting, but new what used to be scripting with the push of a button. You used to have to print that out and email it to everyone, print it out, and they'd all put it on their desks. So totally digital now. So that combination, that change of how people buy and of the cloud means that you have this new possibility for this workforce of super agents, of people who are hyper equipped with the best tools that are up to date, to the second. And you're noticing this, pull on the labor economy, where essentially, if this is your only lifeline to connect with customers now, at the contact center and online, you're going to invest in having awesome contact center agents, and you're going to invest in giving them great experiences. You're not just going to try to, shoo people out the door as quickly as possible, because that's your customer. And that's how you connect with them, is right there in that moment. So I think that those three things are going to lead to a real golden age of the contact center, and SaaS and cloud and all of these different technologies are going to sprout up to support this concept of super agents connecting with your customers where previously they would have been, in person or in your physical location.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we probably want to just nail that home is the contact center industry as a whole hasn't always adopted technology at the fastest pace and put it in play right away for a variety of reasons. It doesn't mean there aren't certain companies that were leaders in their space, but the idea of adopting all the coolest, latest stuff wasn't necessarily always being done. And I think the pandemic disrupted that mindset for many because they didn't have a choice, right? So the idea of fear usually is a big driver. Knowing what you know, it's the way you've always done things. You understand it, you know how to measure it, you know how to monitor it. So that means you can make sure that you have some sort of way to measure going forward how you're going to do. You can forecast properly. You have a lot of unknowns when you implement things that you're not used to or you're not an expert in, right? And those new things break. They don't always work well. We gave the examples earlier of things that didn't necessarily pan out great. Those kiosk examples you gave, but eventually they turned out and it works for a lot of things. So with that in mind, you start to look at people that said, this isn't even on my roadmap. Now you're tripping over yourself to go, I don't have a choice. I got to figure something out. Now people have made changes and now they're going, wow, it didn't break. Or if it broke, it didn't break for that long. Or we're not done and out of business. And in some ways you found efficiencies where you didn't find them, or work pools of people that you didn't have access to that you can tap into, and costs that you may have been able to reduce in other areas. But then there's also other areas where costs have gone up because labor has gotten more expensive in places. Finding people is harder to find. So keeping the people you have, making them more productive and giving you better outcomes does mean that you can potentially improve your margins when you're working with a headcount that is stressed with costs on both ends, right? Both the cost of deploying the services and then obviously the revenue you can generate from that outcome. So these types of technologies in the SaaS world seem to really be overlaying with those pain points, and people are much more adept to go, yeah, I think maybe it's time we start looking at this stuff versus let's be stuck in the old ways.